everyone, one and all. Welcome to the Amud. We have the privilege to be learning Brochos today. We are Daf Mem Tes Amud base in the about 5 lines from the bottom of the narrow lines. I'm still recording from the studio in Ramat Beit Shemesh, not in Shul, waiting to get back. And okay, let's get to it. Just a quick hakdama. Someone asked me, why are you doing the Amud? And it's quite clear that people I've spoken to that it's much easier. Don't ask me why. It's much easier to do chazara on 2.5 daf a week on Shabbos, 2 daf a week, than to do it on 7 daf. I don't know, go figure. So we're here, we're learning at a pace, so hopefully you should be able to do some type of chazara. That's the point. And therefore, Chag, why am I saying this? On Chag, we will not be giving share, unfortunately. It's time to chazara. We'll give you all guys plenty of time to review what you've learned. If you've learned anything, it's time to do chazara and reviewing. Okay, so let's get down to it. We're on Memtes on the base. Says the gemorah. So the Mishnah said, Ad kama mezamnim. How much do you need to do a zimun? Ad kama. How much food do you have to eat in order for the zimun to kick in? So says the gemorah, Ad kama mezamnim. Lemeimra. That was a machlekes in the Mishnah. Lemeimra the Reb Meir choshev lekazayis. Does that mean that Reb Meir holds that a kazayis, that's what's important? Reb Meir said a kazayis. Rabbi Yehuda kabeitza, and Rabbi Yehuda seen the beitza, meaning that a beitza, that's a share choshev. Is that the machlekes? What is considered a full share? What's considered an important amount of food that requires you to do a zimun? Is that what's going on here? Now, in parentheses, let's take a look at Taisus. We're starting to show Taisus before we even go. What's going on over here? Ad Kamazam, take a look at Taisus. Taisus says, we're not just talking about zimun here. The Mishnah is not just talking about zimun, how much you have to eat in order to be chayav the zimun before you bench. The Mishnah is talking about also what is needed to eat in order to chayav berachas hamazon. Says Taisus, who are then berachas hamazon below zimun? El rebusa shminu lefilo hakazayis mizamin. There's an extra chiddush here that with a kazayis you have to also do a zimun. But the etzem machlekes Rabbi Yehuda Reb Meir, it's a machlekes about what you need to eat in order to bench. That's the main machlekes of it. That's what's going on. So Rashi, we saw Rashi in the Mishnah. Rashi seems to be saying not like that. The machlekes is about zimun, not about berachas hamazon. How much you have to eat in order to do berachas hamazon. We're going to see soon that this is a fundamental dispute between them. What's going on over here? Fundamental dispute in the gemorah. But says Taisus, we're talking about benching, any benching. Any time you bench, what is the chiyuv to, when you have to bench? So the gemorah asks, so you have a machlekes. Is it an egg or is it a olive? What's the share? How much do you have to eat in order to be chayav berachas hamazon, or in order to be chayav to do zimun? So the gemorah asks, is that true? Is that a machlekes? What's important, the egg or the olive? Vayib Chashamina, we learned exactly the opposite. It says exactly the opposite. How could that be true? This now it says in the Mishnah, a guy is leaving Yerushalayim, a guy is leaving Jerusalem. He leaves Jerusalem in the good old days, Beis Hamikdash, holy temple. He's leaving and he's got in his hands Kodesh. Food he's not allowed to take out of Yerushalayim. Now it becomes puzzle, piggle, right? He took it out. So what should he do? He's going to burn it. You got to burn it. You can't eat it. Too bad. So what do? Im Ovar Tzufim, if you went past Tzufim, there's a place now called Har Tzufim. I don't know if it's the same place. Tzufim, so Rashi says, there was a place called Tzufim, a town, a village called Tzufim. So if you went past that place called Sufim Bukayim, then you burn it where you are. If you've gone more than whatever, past that town, you burn it. If you didn't go past the town called Sufim, you have to go back to Yerushalayim, the Soifel Fnei Bira, and burn it in front of the Bira. And the Bira, it's Machlekes in the Gemara, somewhere else, if the Bira means anywhere in Yerushalayim, or in Yerushalayim, there was a place called the Bira where they burnt stuff. Machlekes, the Maraim, what was this Bira? Because Bira literally technically means the city, the town, Shushan HaBira. But Machlekes, if this means anywhere in Yerushalayim, well, there's a specific place where you burnt. You burnt in Ma'atzei HaMaracha. You took, there was a pile of wood over there, the wood of the Maracha, and you burnt it with that. So, just take what Taisus says, take it in Taisus. We're going to see a lot of Taisus today, hopefully. It says Taisus, Yemava Tzufim, Pirush Rashi, the Psachim is Mokum Shishmai Tzufim. Rashi says in Meseches Psachim, there's a place called Tzufim. That doesn't appear to be true. If Tzufim's a place, and you leave Yerushalayim, you can go 360 angles. If Tzufim is in one direction, it should say Tzufim and the same length in any direction. Why does it just say Tzufim? Good kasha. I don't know. Taisa says Tzufim means if you go to a place where you can still see Yerushalayim, that's what Tzufim. Tzufim means to see, to view. If you went to Tzufim, you can still see, any place you can still see, then once you've gone past where you can see from, now you just burn it wherever you are. That's how Taisa understands it. Okay, back in the gemorah. So it says the gemorah. So how much do you have to have? How much of this meat do you have to have in order to have to go back or burn it? At kamem chayzun. How much do you have to go back? So if me'ayim zukabetza, if you have an egg. Reb Yehuda says if you have a kazayis. So you see that these opinions is opposite to the Mishnah here. Reb Meir says you got an egg, and Reb Yehuda says you have an olive. It's the opposite to our Mishnah, which says when you bench, Reb Yehuda says an egg, and Reb Meir says an olive. So what are you going to do? So it says Reb Yehuda, the opinions are switched. Switch the opinion of our Mishnah. That he said this and he said that. Rav Meir says an egg, and Rav Yehuda says an egg, and Rav Meir says an olive. So I'm Rav Yehuda. Okay, that's one way of dealing with it. You got a machlekes, you got a contradiction. Here he says an egg and he says an olive, and the other one says the other way around. What do you do? I'm Rav Yehuda. Abaye no. Abaye says, no, you don't have to start switching opinions. We don't like to switch. We can do a dance. We can get out of it with Svara. This is going to be complicated. Buckle up. Here, the Brochos and Mazen, they're arguing psukim. What's the machlekes? This is a fundamental thing. It's relevant to us every single day, or at least a few times a week, unless you're doing keto, in which case it's barely relevant to you except for on Shabbos. So it says what's a machlekes? Rav Meir says it says in the pasuk v'chalta v'savata v'rachta. You eat, satiated, and you bench. That's what the pasuk says. V'chalta, it says Rav Meir is achila. Achalta achila. V'savata, what does it mean v'savata? V'savata zushtiya. V'savata means then you drink. So if you eat and you drink, then you bench. V'achila is ukazai. Sorry, v'achalta is achila. V'savata zushtiya. V'achila, what's achila in the whole world? What is achila? Achila means to eat. If you eat and you drink, you bench. And achila means if you're eating an olive, that's called you had an achila, you ate. If you nibble a tiny bit less than the olive, that's not called you ate, that's called you picked. I don't know what it is, there's a different word for it. That's not called achila. So, That's Reb Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda, Sava, Rabbi Yehuda learns the positive differently. Rabbi Yehuda says, V'chalta v'savata, what does it mean, V'chalta, you should eat and you should be satiated, then you should bench? What does that mean? It means if you eat enough that you're full, you're satisfied. If you're satisfied, then you should bench. How much do you have to eat in order to feel some type of satiation? Having a little olive doesn't do anything. You have an egg, you feel some type of satiation, therefore you can bench. Okay. So it would appear that midoraisa, biblically, there's a pasuk over here. It would appear that there's machlokes midoraisa. When do you have to bench? If you drink, and if you have a kazayas and you drink, you got to bench. Or it doesn't say how much you have to drink. Machlokes, what is the share you have to drink? Knowlege of kazayas. Does it mean also kazayas you got to drink now? Or does it mean you only have to bench if you're full? Okay, but anyway, let's get back to the gemorah. Go back to the shakta v'tar of the gemorah. So the gemorah says there's a contradiction. So the gemorah says no, there's no contradiction. Here they're arguing a pasuk, right? How do you understand the pasuk? So if Meir holds, why do you need a kazayas? Because, then he's saying we don't have to switch the opinions. Reb Meir says a kazayas. Why? Because a kazayas is called achila. V'chalta achila. Or Reb Yehuda says it's going to do with eating. It's going to do with being satiated. And being satiated is kabetzi. That's as far as eating goes. Right? And what about going back? Going back to Yerushalayim? Says the gemorah. And Hosan the Svara pligi, there they're arguing on the Svara. They're what? Meir Sava Chazrosai b'Tumasai. Matumasai kabetza, Chazros kabetza. They have to go back to Ban based on the share of Tumah. And just like Tumah with food is only with the egg, so you only have to go back if you have an egg. When do you go back if you're over to Issa? And what's Issa Talian? Issa of eating, all eating is Talian in Kazayas, like we said. So Av Chazaras is big Kazayas. Therefore, you only go back if you have a Kazayas, if you have an olive. That's what's going on with going back to the burning. So there's two different sugyas. One is called when you go back. You go back based on Tumah or based on Issa. And with eating is based on Kazayas, based on Kabetza. What is the posuk telling me you've got to be full, or is the posuk telling me you've got to drink? There's two ways to understand. So let's take a look at Taisus. Very important Taisus survey. Taisus says, Rav Meir Savar v'achalta z'achila. V'achila b'kazayas. Says Taisus, when the Taisus Rabbi Meir Savar. Says Taisus, v'imari. Dani Christ, nach the Ba'amaninu b'dvaras b'nu s'liya gemorah. The whole machlekes, says Taisus, is a massive whopping chiddush. Midoraisa, biblically, in order to have the bench, you need one thing and one thing only. V'chalta v'savat, you have to be absolutely full, satiated. You ate, you're full, now you have the bench. But you have an egg, you drank, you're not chayiv midoraisa. So what's the machlekes of Meir and Rav Yehuda in this pasuk? The argument had to make a drasha midrabanan. Midrabanan when you chayiv the bench. That's how Taisus understands, that's how we understand, but midoraisa, the verse is very clear. V'chalta v'svat, you have to eat and you have to be full, satiated, not an egg. That's what Taisus understands. Massive chiddush. The gemorah, you read the gemorah, it doesn't say so smach. The gemorah seems to be saying that this is what the pasuk means. This is what it means. Says Taisus. I'll tell you how, could have been a prag which may say, L'chila es apanim, Yisrael. The Gemara says, the Gemara asks a contradiction, it says, Hashem, but Yis apanim, and then it says, Am Yisrael, Yis Hashem panim v'alecha. So, what is it? You got a contradiction. Does Hashem show favor to Am Yisrael? So it says, because they bench, I said, L'chalta v'savata. I said, you should eat, you should be satiated. And they bench with the kazayas. The implication being, says Taisus, the kazayas is darabanan. Midoraisa, you don't need to bench. And they bench with the kazayas, meaning the kazayas is for sure darabanan. or Kazai, they said Kazai is Kabetza, based on these two opinions. So it's Mufusha Gemara basis that Midoraisa, only we have Sved you have to bench. And our Gemara seems to be saying, with the Kazai is Kabetza. Says Taisus, Kazai is Kabetza, it's a Smach Alma. It doesn't mean Midoraisa, here it means Midorabanan. What are you going to do? So before Gemara. So it could be with a passing like the Gemara, it's one shot. Pirish Rashi, what does it mean? Says Taisus, we say what there was a Ben Varach La'aviv. The son is allowed to bench for his father. How can the son? They say the father doesn't have a bench. He's got a 10-year-old kid. He knows how to bench. How can he bench? How can he wait him? He's the rice. He's the rabbanon. We can look at Mandachol Shir the rabbanon. Talking about a case where he ate a Shir the rabbanon, right? Rashi Hani Kazais Kabetza. Rashi there says, what's a Shir the rabbanon? Do you not chayv the bench? Says Rashi, you're not chayv the bench. You have a Kazais Kabetza. So Rashi there says, if you have a Kazais, you have a Kabetza, you're not chayv the raisa, even though like they seem to be saying, Kazai is a Kabetza, the Halda is either it's Kazayas or Kabetza, or if you drink. Says Rashi, no. That is only the Rabbana. If I Kazayas Kabetza with the Raisa, is a Shid Rabbana. This is another svara. If you're going to tell me now, third whopping kasha places was in there, if you're going to tell me that Kazayas Kabetza is the Raisa, so what's the Rabbana? What's a Shir Rabbanon? What? A kosher? Even if a tiny bit, you got to bench the Rabbanon? So, says Taisus, Midoraisa, you have to be absolutely full to bench. Midrabanan, it's machlekes, drinking, or kibetza. Okay. And says Taisus, Kalan Kergazayis, the female Shemachah for Birchnu, we pass like a Yehuda, and therefore we pass like Kazayas. Okay, he goes into the whole thing passing like okay. So a lot of Rishonim argue with this Taisus, and they say, no, this is the Machlekas. What are you going to do with these kashas? I don't know. We can maybe try and address them, but a lot of Rishonim say, no. This is the Shir Daraisa. Do you need a drink to be Chayav Daraisa, or do you need to have a kabet to be Chayav Daraisa? So, according to the Sefer Yereim, we pass that you need a drink to be Chayav Daraisa, and therefore, if you have a group of people eating, and one guy drank, and the others didn't drink, right? So someone who didn't drink can't be mitzvah people that did drink, since you only Chayav Daraisa if you drank. And says the Beit says, you should be chayshish for this. Or says Ramah, I can't remember in the Shulchan Aruch, what that? You should be chayshish Yereim. Because I think in the Ramah says be chayshish Yereim. And if few people ate together, and one guy drank, or one guy didn't drink, and the others all drank, the one that didn't drink is not chayving the rest of the bench. Therefore, you shouldn't be mitzi everyone else. The Magen Avraham says, no, it's much more halacha l'maisa that you need svir to be chayav the raisa. That's the mashmois, if you taste it at least. And therefore, if one guy's full, good morning, if one guy's full, he should be mighty everyone else. But someone that ate and is not full, he should be mighty anyone else. That's how the Magen Avraham understands. That it's Tolian who's full, not who drank. Who drank? That's not halacha. It's Tolian being full. And if you're full, if you're not full, you're not chayv the rice. Therefore, you can't. You might see someone that did eat and is full. The Taz says because of a ravus, anyone you might see anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're full, you drank, you didn't drink. You might see anyone. That's how others say it's all Tolia only legabi zimun, legabi Brochos and whole thing doesn't apply. Okay, that was the first place we saw. That is this sugya talking about also Brochos or only zimun. So that is a huge machlekes whether you are chayiv Brochos Hamazon if you didn't drink midoraisa, or if you're not full midoraisa. Big nafkamina is if you forgot. I don't know, I'm not saying we'll bring it down, but nafkamina is like if you forgot to say, let's say, Yada V'yova, you forgot to say, so if you made a mistake, you have a suffix, did you bench or not? You have a suffix if you benched. So you've got suffix brochos, you've got to bench again, right? What constitutes suffix brachas over here? What constitutes a suffix bracha deraisa? You've got to bench again. Normally, suffix brachas you don't do again. You won't say a bracha a second time if you're not sure if you made it. But with the bracha deraisa, you've got to bench it. You've got to say the bracha again. Suffix deraisa l'chumrah. So what's considered the suffix deraisa l'chumrah here? If you ate and you're full, that's one opinion. According to Taisus, you've got to be full to be chayav deraisa to bench again. So if you ate and you're not full, and you're sure if you benched, according to Taisus, you don't bench again. That's the mashrois of Taisus. According to other yeshivs, if you drank, according to your reim, if you drank, now you're chayav, you've got to bench again. According to, I guess it's a suffix deraisa, what halach is, that you can be chayiv all the shitas and bench, unless you say it's a fake deraisa. I don't know how to pass such a thing. There's no halach, ask a local rabbi. But that's the kasha over here. All right, so back to the gemorah. Sorry, we're up to the Mishnah, actually. We have time to go? Yeah, we've got plenty of time. Says the Mishnah. Ketzad mezamnin. How do you do a zimun? What's the lashon? What do you say? What are you supposed to say when you do a zimun? Ketzad mezamnin. B'shloisha aymen nevarech. When there's three people, you say nevarech Elokeinu. Let us bless Hashem. Nevarech. Let us bless. B'shloisha v'huf. It's four people. Three bless him. It doesn't say let us bless. It'll say you bless. Since they are three, and three can do it, it's more of a, better to say, Baruch Hu, you bless Hashem. Like you say in Shul, Baruch Hashem Avarech, you bless Hashem. Basara, if there's 10 people, I'm a Nevarech Elokeinu. You say Nevarech, we bless Elokeinu, our God. Basar V'hu, if there's 11 people, I'm in Baruch Hu. He doesn't say let us bless, he'll say Baruch Hu, bless God. Achadasar, if there's 10 people, Achadasar Ribui, 11 or 11,000, it's all the same thing. You say the same thing, Baruch Hu. Doesn't say it clearly in the mission, but we're going to see that's what it means. B'meya, second sheet, another opinion of it. B'meya, when there's 100 people, you say Nevarech will bless Hashem, our God. B'meya v'hu, if there's 101, Baruch Hu. You don't say Nevarech, you say the same thing, but Baruch Hu. If there's 1,000, you say Nevarech Hashem Elokeinu Eloke Yisrael. If there's 1,001, you say Baruch Hu as opposed to Nevarech. If there's 10,000, Nevarech Hashem Elokeinu Eloke Yisrael Eloke Tzvos Yeshivs Ala Moses Shachanu. Baruch Hu. The guy's got to count. If there's 10,000, 10,001. It's a different nusach. Imagine the guy's sitting there trying to count 10,000 people. It's hard enough counting 10 people in shul. 10,000, because 10,001 is a different nusach. You say Nevarech is supposed to Baruch Hu. Okay? This is the guy's doing the whole suda. He's busy counting 10,001 people there. We're going to see there's not halach, so you're okay. He's good. The same thing the guy, he says, they answer back. Right? They answer that just like he said, bless Hashem, God of the Master of the hosts, Elokeinu, Eloke Yisrael, Yeshiv Akruvim, Al Moshe. They answer the same thing. Whatever he says, they answer back. Rabbi Yisrael Glili Oima says Rabbi Yisrael Glili, Lefi Rei Bakal, Hem Avarchim. You give the bracha based on how many people are there. Why? Shenem Makelis Brochos Hashem, Elokim Hashem Eloke Yisrael. It says in a congregation you bless Hashem. Rabbi Kiva Mamatin, Rabbi Kiva. Mamatin basically asks, how does it work in shul? Echad Marubim, Echad Motim. If there's 10, if there's 10,000, the Chazan says only Baruch Hu as Hashem. And therefore here also, it doesn't matter if there's 10 or 10,000 or 100, you say Baruch Hashem, Nevarech Elokeinu Shechal Mishalai. You don't start changing the nusach if there's 100, if there's 1,000, there's 10,000. It's like a shul. So he says Baruch Hashem. And Shmuel Baruch Hashem HaMevayrach. He throws the word Mevayrach. I never knew this. Embarrassed to say, why do you say HaMevayrach? What does it mean, Baruch Hashem HaMevayrach? Because Baruch Hashem means you bless Hashem. Brochos Hashem HaMavarech, it implies that when you say Nevarach, let us, we're all blessing. I'm also blessing Hashem. When you say Baruch Hu, it means you bless Hashem. So when he says Brochos Hashem, he's not including himself in it. You bless Hashem. So the Chaz says Brochos Hashem, you bless Hashem. HaMavarech, he's blessed. Therefore, he's including himself in the fact that he's blessing Hashem. Brochos Hashem, HaMavarech, I'm also blessing Hashem. That's what Brochos Hashem HaMavarech means. They ask of it, why in Shul do you say Brochos Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Shem Hashem, the four-letter name of God, but in benching you say Nevarach Elokeinu. Elokeinu we saw is more of a minister din. Elokeinu implies judgment. But in Shul you say Brochos Hashem. So it's a bit of a machlekes Rishonim. Why? What's the difference? Why here you say Elokeinu and there you say es Hashem? Some want to say it's because in Shul it's a place of Torah, it's a place of Tefillah, it's more sanctified, it's a place to praise Hashem. So therefore you say Shem Hashem in Shul, but how you benching it? You say Baruch Hashem. Others, Nevarach Elokeinu. Others, I guess, they don't say this, they don't like it because Shul is the Rabbana. It's beautiful, you go to the synagogue. But your table, you're eating, you're actually praising Hashem. It's biblical, it's the Raisa. So here you should say Nevarach Hashem. Why you say Baruch Elokeinu? So what do they say? There's a different malach over here, a different opinion. Then Shul, on the Torah, you get up to Torah. When do you say Shul? You say Baruch Hashem HaMavarech, right? You're praising the Torah, you're thanking Hashem for the Torah. The Torah is chesed, the Torah is kulai, ava, and chesed. Hashem didn't have to give us a Torah. You don't have to give us a Torah. He could have created people, plenty of people created, they don't have a Torah, right? So what? So the fact we have a Torah, everyone's got 7 mitzvahs, everyone's got 7 mitzvahs, but not everyone has 613. We're thanking Hashem for 613, right? But that's kulei chesed, that's pure love. That's loving kindness, generosity. But when Hashem gives us food, there's a certain level of din there. Why? Because he has to give us food. If he doesn't give us food, we're dead. So therefore you thank Hashem, it's mitoich midas din, you're also getting food. There's a certain type of justification. You need the food. It's not. He couldn't create us without food. Therefore, we say Elokeinu. Others want to say Achronim pshat more. They say since food is more, you're more likely to sin. Acholta v'savata v'achol v'sov v'tashen or shamanta v'isa kesisa. You eat too much, you can end up doing, going off the beaten path. So therefore, you got to be more mechuber to the Elokeinu, to midas din. You got to be more careful. Baruch Elokeinu. Remember the din. Remember there's judgment in the world, we're learning Torah. Well, others want to say even slightly differently that I'm not going to get into it. Okay. Okay, but what I want to see is very important, this Taisus. We didn't get there yet, but it's very important to see the Nakuda. Why are you saying Baruch Hu? We can... Hold on. Okay, so let's see the line in the gemorah first. Then we'll take a look at the Taisus. It's one line. Omar Shmuel says Shmuel lo elam al yotzel mit haklal. You should say Baruch Hashem. You should say Nevarech. Always include yourself in the. Always include yourself in it. Well, the Taisus is more interesting. Always include yourself. Don't take yourself out of the klal. Don't say Baruch Hu, you bless Hashem. Say Nevarach. Let us bench Hashem. Right? Tanan. What does that mean? What do you mean? B'shloisha v'hu I'm a Baruch Hu. How can you say Hashem when there's 4 people? You say Baruch Hu. You don't say Nevarach. You say Baruch Hu. So take a look at Taisus. The bottom line of Taisus. There's one line that is very important. There's Taisus. It says Taisus that Sakadai Techashta would appear from the gemorah, the Baruch Hu Adif. Why is Baruch Hu better than Nevarech? Should the Baruch Hu Tzivui? Nevarech is Hashem. Aval Nevarech ain't until Shas. There's a fundamental difference between saying Baruch Hu is Hashem and saying Nevarech. If I say bless Hashem, that's a commandment. I'm telling you to do something. You don't have to do it, but I'm commanding you. Bless Hashem. Baruch Hashem Nevarech. When I say nevorech, I mean let us praise Hashem. That is like I'm asking for permission. It sounds more like I'm saying let us praise Hashem, and everyone answers. So you're better off saying Baruch Hu Tzivui than nevorech. Yes. It's better to command people than to take rishus from them, to praise Hashem. I guess what Tais is saying is that it's less of a praise. If I say, come on, let's daven, let's praise Hashem. That's like, okay, yeah, no, man. If I say, praise Hashem, see, I mean business. It's much more of a shevach. It's much more legit when it's coming from a place of like force, place of koyach. That's why the Gemara wants to say Baruch Hu is better, even though you are including yourself in it. If I say praise Hashem, I'm not saying that I'm including myself in it, but it's better because there's force. I'm saying commanding you. Okay. So the Gemara answers, Eima af Baruch Hu. You can say both. You can say Baruch Hu, you can say Nevarech. It doesn't mean you have to say Nevarech or Baruch Hu. You both will both. If you're right, saying Nevarech is better, that's better to include yourself. You could say Baruch Hu, you could say that. It's the same thing. All right. Okay, I think we're going to have to wrap it up here today. Thank you very much, all of you, for listening, especially those who came late. Appreciate it a lot. It's wonderful to have you all here today with us. Are we going to be learning tomorrow? I don't know. Let's see. At Pesach, it's getting hard, challenging. We'll try. Still got to clean the car, clean the ovens, stuff to do. And unfortunately, I don't remember this from last time I learned it, for the simple reason that I haven't learned it before. So I've actually got to learn this stuff fresh. Never learned it. I'm learning all these fascinating sugyas, never knew these things. What does it mean, Brochos Shem Vayrach? Never knew this stuff, I'm embarrassed to say. I'm sure you all know it. But wonderful to have this chus. Thank you very much all for listening. I appreciate it so much. Mitzvah will be shared tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Erev Chag for sure no share. Okay, Shkoyach, thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful day.